Hello, welcome to Do It Now. This is Drew, and we are going to be making an onion noodle soup, a buckwheat noodle soup. I just happen to like this bowl, so I'm just showing off the pottery. Look how nice that pattern is. Okay, this is a fairly cheap option, a cheap way to get a lot of protein in very quick, very easy to make. We're starting with a leek, basically just peeling down the side. Going to take that leek off. I haven't worked with leeks a whole lot, so basically I'm doing intuitively, just seeing what I want to do in the moment. I've decided to take the white, separate them. Going with some nice long strips. Turn it. Chop those in half. I'm going to keep those long. Remember, I'm planning to eat this with chopsticks, so I want to have some nice big pieces. Now this green I wasn't so sure, so here we go. A little sample. It's approved. Chopping that up nice and fine. These are actually breaking in half for the most part, but they're just sort of a little bit held on in the middle. So that's going to come out nice. Again, nice long thin pieces. They're going to cook nice. They're going to be nice and easy to pick up with your chopsticks. It's going to add a lot of flavor and be something totally different than the long strips of the white of the leek. And no waste, except that little nib on the right. Here we go, garlic time. I appreciate, for those that don't come from an Italian household, this is probably a lot of garlic. I like a lot of garlic. This garlic is getting a little old, so you start to see some eyes coming out. You're going to see when the garlic is older, it shrinks a little bit compared to its casing, which does make it a little bit easier to peel. So what I'm doing here is a technique. I'm cutting. See how my knife's at an angle? I don't actually cut the whole way through. I'm cutting through the meat of the garlic bulb, but then I am not cutting all the way through the skin on the back. And that allows me to pin that skin down with the knife, and I can peel it up. Ooh, got a double. Doesn't want to come apart, just leave it. So again, cutting partway through, peeling up, cut, peel up, everything comes right off. In the case that it doesn't come right off, a couple options you have to do. Like this one doesn't want to peel, that's fine. Here's what we're going to do. Wide of the knife, little smack. I'm not crushing the garlic. That's for a different piece, different style, different recipe. In this case, I'm just slightly changing the geometry, which is enough to separate it from its peel. Peel comes right off. If you crush the garlic, you're going to release the allicin, which is the protective enzyme inside. Your whole board, everything's going to start getting sticky. That's great for a different situation, not for this. I wouldn't normally be cutting on my ceramic stovetop. Just happens to have better lighting, so I move the board over. Okay, I'm doing a lengthwise thin chop. Have a look at those pieces coming up. Again, I want to be able to pick up a piece of garlic with my chopsticks and eat it. I want to choose one, pick it up, eat it, nice and easy. Plus, garlic is something that's all about surface area. So I want every bit of this garlic in a nice thin surface area. Bigger piece, lay it sideways, get those lengthwise ones afterwards. Totally fine. So we're chopping up all the garlic. Now, in the meantime, if you want to be fast about this, I'm going to show you the tofu piece of this in just a little bit. The tofu is the thing that's going to take the longest. So I would advise you switching that around, doing the tofu first, and then coming back and doing your veg. I also typically would not chop all this stuff in advance and do a mise en place. I would typically just start cooking and then chaotically chop while we work and just feel how it goes. Final piece of the veggies. Listen to this. Oof. Oh, love how the mushroom pops. Okay, so I just peel off this little skin. I do use the stem of the mushroom. I think it's valuable. I just cut top and bottom off and give it one lengthwise cut. Then it's going to be a nice, two nice chunks of mushroom. And then I want big pieces of mushroom because they're going to shrink because we're doing something a little special with them. So I'll put them in here just so you can see what's happening for now. So that's it for the veggie chop. Quick zoom in. There you go. Mushrooms, leeks, the white and the green, and then thinly cut, wide pieces of garlic. Get you right in there. Look at that. Okay, we're doing tofu, extra firm. In this case, we don't need the whole package. We're just making one thing of soup, so I've decided on a length I want to use. I have this technique where I just roll this back inside the package like so, flip the package over. Just be mindful of the juice. You want to drain as much as you can first, and I find that's just fine for putting back in the fridge, especially at the speed that we go through tofu in this house. Decide your thickness now. Make your cuts. Pick a thickness. Try to repeat it as much as you can and space that out across the whole block of tofu. If you change the thicknesses throughout, you have a good chance of having them not being cooked evenly. Okay? Look at my presentation. I bring this bowl over. Guess what? Changed my mind. Don't use the bowl. Used to put them in the bowl, then you put the oil on, toss it around, try to get good coverage. Just decided on this technique on the fly, and I love it. I've been using it ever since. I use my spoon rest as like a little palette. Grab some on the basting brush. Oh yeah. A little artistry time. Give them a little paint. Okay. This side gets painted. And then we go ahead and grab the salt. Now, a little bit of salt when you're putting something in something like an air fryer is not about seasoning. This is about chemistry. That salt is needed to activate as it heats, okay? I want both sides done, so a little flip around. Very nice. You'll notice I'm doing this right on my board. I use a wood board. It's not a big deal. The nice thing about it is a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt. You rub that in after. That's a bit of abrasive, and the oil is going to rehydrate my board. Helps keep everything clean. Oil is also a good antimicrobial, antibacterial. It does a lot of good stuff as long as you don't have big gobs of oil for stuff to sit in. Breaking out the air fryer, you can do this lots of different ways. You can just bake it if you don't have this stuff. This is the Instant Vortex, so it comes with a rotisserie thing that I was using for a while, but now for something like tofu, that tray goes right under the element, right under the fire. I set the air fryer timer really high, and then I use alternate timers. That way it doesn't just turn off. This is my technique now for getting rid of all the bits in one go. Just bring the food waste bin up to the counter. All done. Our bin sits inside this door, under the sink, tucked away off the counter. A little wipe, because I am going to move the cutting board back, because now, of course, I need to use the stove. Getting a little bit of water. I'm not using a lot of water, because I want the starch from my noodles to fill the water, and I want that starch to be dense in the water, so I'm using just as much water as I need to cook the noodles well. Okay, that's going on high to start. That element is the gates of hell, so partway through it's going to switch to a 6 instead of being on high. Otherwise, it'll boil over all day long. Now, cooking side, little tiny one, starting with coconut oil. Coconut oil goes in. The amount that you choose, this is how fatty your broth is going to be. It changes a big amount, but of course, it's high calorific. And it's not the healthiest for you to have a ton of fats. So you decide how fatty you want your soup to be and how healthy you want your soup to be. I'll leave that choice up to you. Ooh. Almost talked over the sizzle. I think I did talk over the sizzle. Apologies. A little sizzle. So you want that nice and hot when it goes on. Separates the tofu from the pan. Makes them cook separately. I like that this tray has lots of holes. It does do a pretty good job at crisping the underside. I will still flip it. Okay, so long leek whites go in. Everything, it's all going in. Okay. Again, I don't typically do the mise en place at all, and I would be cooking and chopping as that oil heats up and adding. But this is for the sake of the video. A little bit of soy sauce. Pretty healthy dose there. give you your salty taste. This is Umami Bomb. It is a shiitake chili oil. This is the garlic version. This is an absolutely deadly substance. It is so freaking good. You do not need much. And then we're doing some veggie bouillon, and I grabbed a ton, but I like a bold flavor, and the worst part of that is going to be a bit of sodium, and that's not too bad, especially for me. My body actually does need a little extra sodium. Getting that spoon super sterile before we put it in the miso. You'll notice there's no brown spots in the miso from cross-contamination. So a little bit of miso paste, super healthy for you, really thickens out your broth, makes it taste delicious, can also become a sediment in the stuff. So you got to keep it moving, keep it dancing. So all that stuff is going to get mixed around with a complete hand block of the scene, which is perfect for my videography skills. You see we're steaming over there on the pot. We're going to get that going in just a second. That's where we want it to be. Yeah. Okay, a little stirry stir. Make sure you got coating on everything so that it's all in the sauce. Get all that sauce in there. No wasted sauce. So this is super concentrated right now. We're going to thin it out later, but we don't have the stuff to thin it out with yet, so we're going to keep cooking. These are buckwheat noodles. Super, super cheap. Tons of protein for a noodle, and they're really resistant to being overcooked. They have a pretty big butter zone of not only when you pull them out of the water, but also how long they can live in your broth and not get like really soggy and gross. So super good noodle to use, nice and filling. And you'll notice, you might not see it in this video, but they produce a preposterous amount of starch in that water. Here I am trying to take a little bit of a cell phone video. I am probably going to cut this part out. Actually, you know what? Correction. I chose not to cut this out for a reason, because I pressed the wrong buttons on my cell phone when it happened, and I actually stopped recording video for there. So this is the video we have of this piece. I was going to try to zoom in and show you just how much starch comes out of these noodles, but that water in that pot is now basically like cloudy white just from that little bundle of noodles, which is glorious. We want that super starchy water. That's what we're going to use to add some extra moisture to our soup stock, this super concentrated soup stock that's in there now. Look at this. Just one little spoon for now. Don't recommend with that spoon. Get yourself a magical device. Here we go. Ladle time. Okay, no noodles yet, just ladle and some noises. Yeah, trying to get that shot. Helps if it's recording. But here we go. Boom. Ladle. Okay. Just a couple for now. I don't want to saturate it yet. I still want those things to be working because I want tons of that flavor from that concentrated substance to get right into those veggies. So I want hyper concentrated flavor in the veggies, and then I'm gonna water the sauce in about with the starchy water from the noodles. So faffing about with the air fryer right now, letting it cook. Okay, this is a super quick soup, so we're keeping it basically real time. There's gonna be a few little cuts, but you can just watch it happen. Look at that. Look at the colors in there. Okay, here we go. Tofu's out from the first round. Trying to get fancy with the chopsticks, flip it over. A little difficult when the tofu is still really not firm yet. So we started with that. In go with the fingers. It's fine. I don't have the asbestos fingers that some professional cooks do. In fact, my hands are quite sensitive to that stuff, but here's the power move. Take those mushrooms out that have been stewing. Now they've got tons of that flavor soaked in, and now they're ready to get shrunk in the air fryer. Here you go. Oil and salt, rubbing the board. Beautiful. Get our bowl ready. Here they come. So, a little spill, it's all good. It's part of the cooking process. Noodles in. Okay, I'm taking lots of water with the noodles. Look at that water. Look how golden it is. That's from those buckwheat noodles. Okay, so oil, olive oil on top. Again, I'm generous here. This is just pink Himalayan salt. Tons of salt options there. Going with granulated garlic, because even all that freaking cloves of garlic is not enough for me. This is nutritional yeast. Absolutely phenomenal product. A little bit more expensive compared to some of the other stuff in this recipe, but huge protein to weight. It's like 50% protein to weight. It's wild. That was some oregano. And the last one is some crushed chilies. That is a personal choice if you like a little bit of spice. Egg, flat surface, one hand pop, raw egg right on top of your noodles. Okay, raw egg fear people. Watch this process. I am not leaving big streaks and chunks of egg. I am mixing those in. I want nothing like that. See that big gooey chunk? Doesn't get to stay. Okay, we keep moving it around until everything is aired out and you get this like fluffy, bubbly, kind of airy pre-sauce going on with the egg. There's no remnants of like, here's a big piece of egg. It's just become emulsified and part of the sauce. See that? Okay, so because it's everywhere, when you pour the hot water on it, it cooks right away. So you don't need to worry about it. It's safe in terms of bacteria on the egg. I also am kind of fine with a bit of raw egg. Look at that thing stewing. Yes. Oh yeah. Everything's getting nice and combined. Soaking up all those flavors. They're all coming together. It's still super concentrated though. So what do? First pour. We decide here. You gotta decide how much total broth you want. Pour it in. That's your total broth for your soup now. If you pour too much, then you're not going to pour it into your bowl afterwards, and you're going to have wasted broth. So it won't be as sort of dense and intense as it could have been. Now here's the magic pour. I'm just going to let you watch it and let it happen. Arguably too much broth for this bowl. But you know what? It's fun to live on the edge sometimes. Now, tasty bits. Tasty bits go in the bowl. We eat the tasty bits. We don't rinse those things out. There you go. In the bowl. That's part of your soup. First stage cleanup process. Okay. Now, that is a very full bowl. Extra trick. If you have a very full bowl of soup, put it on a toast plate. Now you can carry the toast plate, you're not touching the hot bowl with the load-bearing part of your hand. You have a spot you can put your chopsticks down that's not in your bowl. If something rolls over the side of the bowl and pours down the side, it's not going to be on your table. It's going to be on the toast plate. Toast plate under your bowl. We got some fresh green onion. A bit of it was, that stuff ages fast in the fridge, so it's not going to look perfect. Totally fine. Some people say you only use the green. White tastes good too. I don't like wasting food. It goes all the way down to the nub. All of that fresh right on top. Wonderful. And did we forget about the finishing piece? Look at this. None of this goes to waste. Get all those little pieces. Those are delicious. Pieces of onion in your bowl, in your face. Wonderful. Okay. Hot glove. Get ourselves ready. Oh yeah. Nice crispy tofu. Tofu's gonna go around the outside in a bit of a border, kind of stagger it. Now it stays above the surface because the noodles are pretty high up, but when you eat it, you grab with your chopsticks, dunk it under so it has a fresh coat, but it hasn't like conformed to the soup yet. Out of this world. All those tasty mushrooms, look how crispy they are, but they got so much flavor from that soup broth. But now they're crispy and they go back in the broth and they're resisting it. Same thing, you can dunk them in your soup. And then we'll have a little closer look. Look at that. That is a tasty bowl of noodle soup. Have that in front of your machine. have a little session. Enjoy.